There was a time when things were much different in this country. Time not so long ago when a writer-seeker like Jack Kerouac could get lost on the road in the American heartland. For those who can remember how close we once were to true freedom, it can be a tough pill to swallow where we are today in the new millennium. So much has changed in the fast-paced, high-tech virtual world we live in today. There's still a few like minds and restless souls left, but much of the innocence and magic of those days will never be the same. As a writer, I found myself beginning to document the changes I was seeing in the American culture through my songs. I've been songwriting in one form or another since I was a kid. It's always been a release for me. It started off with stories and poems and eventually migrated into the songwriting. The first major influence for me musically were the Beatles. They literally changed my life forever. No more golden people on the shoreline, my brothers and sisters wear on. I'm a shadow boomer born in the early 60s and had an older brother and cousins who turned me on early to all the best of the 60s and early 70s rock music as it was coming out. So, I really am a 60s child. We were searching the stars for Aquarius. No more peace and love for none of us. 60s child. I consider myself extremely lucky that I managed to catch the end of the wave, so to speak, of what I believe will go down in history as the modern renaissance of musical artistic creativity. It all blossomed right in front of me. To be there and experience that incredible period from the perspective of a kid growing up in royal small town America in those days was truly a magical time in this country. But as George Harrison once said, all things must pass. And in my life, I've watched not only the great music business slowly fade away and die, but also much of the fabric of the America I love, even with its faults. The music has been a reflection of the culture. Now there's less substance in both. For a very short time, everything seemed to come together in the Woodstock generation. People were engaged in communicating. It was all about the relationships. The music was to be listened to, and people supported the artist by buying albums. But as quickly as it came, it was gone. Greed took over, the artist changed, the audiences changed. Now in this material cyber world, people barely look at each other anymore, lost in an iPhone and running each other off the road. When the big money started rolling in the early 70s, the whole dynamic of the music business changed. And I remember watching the debut of MTV in the early 80s and thinking, well, that just killed it. I was just dreaming. Great music didn't need to be mixed with theatrics for me. I just didn't relate to the music being made in my generation and beyond. My musical heart was still in the 60s. I've always said I should have been born in the early 40s. I'm an old soul. I dig the Old West and true roots Americana music from the blues through the California folk rock sound of the Byrds, Buffalo Springfield, the Burrito Brothers, Poco, CSNNY, the Eagles. Maybe it's the farm boy in me. Jimi Hendrix once called it Western sky music. So from the perspective of a shadow boomer at the end of the line, I began writing about what I called the erosion of the American heartland. I saw a much different America than what my father experienced. I've run the gamut over the years, from being in the folk society to playing blues jams and forming my own classic rock bands, but I've always gotten the most satisfaction from the creative process, writing and producing original music. There's nothing like starting with an idea and slowly watching it grow into a finished story and song. The songwriting is a very natural process for me. The stories reveal themselves, usually in bits and pieces, and sometimes all at once. Over the years and course of my musical journey, I've been very fortunate to have met and played with a variety of outstanding musicians and singers. So I began to finally record with several of these folks I collectively call my Restless Soul. Since 2000, I released 3 CDs through my publishing company, RestlessSoul Records, and this is currently my 4th project. I'm excited to be working at Forge Recording in Studio 4 with an outstanding lineup to back me. It's a pleasure to work with such talented, creative people. Things may never be as they once were, but I wanted this album to be more uplifting. Presenting problems without solutions doesn't help anybody. I'm calling the album Tomorrow's Yesterday. I originally was going to title it Today is Tomorrow's Yesterday, but decided to shorten the title. Because, after all, today is tomorrow's yesterday. I've spent a lifetime living in the past and planning for the future. So now I'm just focusing on today. But there's always another story to tell.